Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Let's start to play. If you want to play, send me challenge. Okay, let's start our first game. Hello Porokyunda, how are you, bro? What is happening here? Okay, that was a little bit lagging. Anyway, still okay. Well, let's start with... don't know, A4 probably. Let's see, can we win this or not? That's very good, you are fine. Okay, understand. We can play Italian game here with d4. Knight f6 is the main move he's playing. And castle. We are sacrificing a pawn here, but having really great positional advantage here. What if we take... or we take bishop? Is he trying to trick or not? If I take... is this tricky somehow or not? We can't take with a bishop, because the knight should be lost and then the bishop should be hang. What if knight takes? Knight takes, I believe that should be okay. Yes, why not? Okay, probably he needs to take the knight first and then go d5. That should be okay at that position. What if we take the knight? Let's take and also kick it back. Because at that time we can go queen d3 or c2, there is no difference. Porokyunda, if you want to play, you can send me challenge, we will play. Okay? We can go queen c2, try to pressure a4. And probably take, why not? If we trade, I'm not sure. I can't check and take his queen because, you know, c4 shouldn't be defended. But what should I play? That's probably defend with bishop a3. Okay, let's do that. I would like to bring the rook on a1 and pressure a4, but not much difference. I don't know if he can defend this a4 really good. I can only defend. If not, just queen b3 was possible. Okay, now it's not, but anyway. In the middle game, probably we need to try to go d5, because his bishop shouldn't be in a really good diagonal. Also some fork freights and something. But for first I'm trying to kick the knight from here and also attack on this diagonal f5 and h7 is a weak. And so on. We will see. d4 is still defended, but I would like to bring the rook on d1 and move one of these pieces. Now I can't because that's hardly defending this d4. And bring the knight, bishop, so that should be pin and not forced to keep there and defend anything. Well, his queen is now not protecting, so if we want, knight a5 can be moved after this trade. d-file should be open, but that should be good for him. That's why we need to bring the rook on d-file, and that should be nice move for us. Also to open this d-file. His queen should be pinned. He has to lose a move to just unpin that. He's going back, and after this trade, just my king side will be weak. What if I trade? If not trade, knight g5 also possible, but I don't want to give his bishop very much opportunity here. That's not hang, okay? That's really tricky move if he takes just... His knight has to run, and at the time a5 will be hang. So I'm gonna take a5 if he takes. But actually a5 will be under attack, so I believe that should be trade. But what after this trade if I defend from f4 and then... Can he defend f5 or not? Yes, we can defend, and I think after all that I need to defend my pawn if that somehow was on a5. Because this passed pawn and that needs only 3 moves to become a queen. If I takes... Not sure, he will take with a bishop. Okay, and there is no problem. And bishop f4, I'm trying to take the knight and then another knight to hang his pawn on f5. But bishop f4 g5. Very aggressive move, and at the time I can't go back. f4 will block my bishop. Knight g6, is it giving me anything or not? I'm not sure. What if bishop c4? His bishop is doing a great job, we can't simply trade anything. Or even the knight. There is no much difference, even we can defend a4 with f3, but okay, he can jump now. But after f3, bishop on a3 will be a little bit weak. And what if bishop f4? Just to take the knight and hang on f5. My bishops are doing a great job. Okay, let's not hang d4. Probably he can try to go a4, why not? Really good square also from his knight, and you know, some trades can happen. What if we force him to take the knight? And if it's not just b5, if he goes back, that should be much better than only this trade. We will see. c-file is open for us, so I'm trying to kick the knight and also attack on c7 and force him to defend. So I'm trying to force him to take, because if I take with a pawn, you know, his knight is one of the defenders on f5, which is not very much defended. Also I'm trying to take f5 here. And if I do that, just these white squares will be very weak for him. Also right now he missed mate. If I check king h8, checked, I will lose the bishop. Check and I will take the rook. What is this position? It's a little bit unclear. I think even I can mate here. Just check. And knight g6, I will lose the bishop. I will take exchange. But I'm a little bit worried about that. My bishop and the knight at the same time will be under attack. So I'm not sure. What if I just check and not knight g6? Knight g6, I will lose the bishop. I would like to somehow check and take the queen. So I won't think twice at the time. But there should be any mate threat, you know. I would like even to bring the rook, but somehow check, takes. That should be trade. I will trade my 2 pieces with his rook, but I don't like that. Because if I trade it, how can I make some advantage? And there is no mate threat, you know? If I take, and he will take with a rook, I can check and take the rook. But king g8 also, that should be another trade, but I believe that should be a little bit good, because at the time he will lose f4 pawn, which I'm trying to take that. Hello Playful Chess, do you want to play? Okay, I'm gonna check if he takes the bishop. That's another sacrifice for bishop. Well, we have trade. If I take, just my bishop should be lost and I haven't any check. My time is also getting lower. There is no extra time in every move. And here I'm up a pawn, but my bishops are doing a great job. I see mate. Can you say how? I believe there is no mate. Yes, mate in 3 can happen with like this, but when the knight were defended on f8, or even knight a7, if you are saying that. That should be really hard, mate in 3, but I didn't see that. Are you sure? Can you say after which move that mate will happen? That's so unclear position. Just also his pieces are doing a great job to defend some really good squares, so I can't just break through his position. Okay, he's not missing anything. Just after that he's gonna take the bishop, but what if I trade? That should be same thing. Okay, let's keep the bishop on the board. King f3, queens are traded, so I don't need to rush my king back. Also, g7 should be under attack. Knight a5 is defending. That's still a really good position. I'm not up a pawn, just how I was, but anyway. If he takes, I will be very grateful. I will lose a pawn, but c7 should be hang, and these queenside pawns will come, because you know g7 was under attack, and if I take somehow, that can be even made. Let's see how we can respond. Even now c7 is hanging, and then g7 should be hang. What if b5? We will sacrifice a pawn, but you know, rook c7, and I will pressure here. Only move that will protect. Should be rook g8, but I'm bringing his rook in very bad square. That was the idea. Let's take, because if I take the pawn first, you know, he will vent his knight back and all should be defended. What is he trying to do? He's trying to reputate this position or not. But anyway, can I win this? I believe he can make a draw here, but there is so unclear position. I don't know even what should he play to win. Take the knight on another square, then make windmill. Yes, that position has gone, but my time is very low. Just I spent so much time for that mate, which I was trying. I'm gonna win in that position. Can I bring my rook on 7th rank? But first we need to be sure we are not plundering any mate or even a pawns. Okay, let's attack on his rook so he can't take. And what if rook g6? Oh, he can check and also take the rook. That should be nice, brilliant move. That should be trade, but anyway. It's time to resign. His king was a little bit nice protected, that's why I was in trouble here. Okay, let's play another game. If anyone wants to play, send me challenge and we will play. You don't need to take this pawn because that should be so much. His position will be so active. Don't trade that. You should be up a pawn, but believe me, you will gonna lose a pawn after some moves later if you be great about that. I'm trying to bring my knight on f5 and then bishop e7. Bishop e7 because that should protect very good squares for d6 and c5 because that should be under control from him very much if my bishop won't protect that. And I can even not to castle, probably queenside or let it be on the center. You know why? Because my pawn on f5 I can just bring huge attack on his king side and push that pawns. g5 and even I can do it now. Why not? Because he's closing his queen from my king side and that's what the rook can't jump. I mean all that pieces can, but then it's so much moves to bring, and also that should be lose the tempo if he even tried to bring all his pieces on king side, because my king side, you are seeing, is a little bit overextended. That's why. We can go pawn on g4 or bishop on g4. I think bishop should be great job. We are forcing his knight to check and lose a pawn. That should be only way that he can defend the knight on h5. And why not knight back to a2, h5. So it's just losing central pawns, and you may think that okay, that's only a pawn, but he needs to think about that so much because central pawns are very good when we are speaking about defense. Okay, sorry, my voice was gone. And after 10 days, I won't have that problem, I promise. Hello, Victor Rekitior. How are you? Can't castle now, unfortunately. Yes, I can't castle, but when queens are traded, there is no much problem you can castle or not, because there is no other piece that can be so much tricky in this position, you know? Even we can trade, and we are going to end games when you are trading the queens. That's not easy to play. Um, to attacking his king and so on. Hello, after full blast. Hello, set point. How are you, bros? Okay, king back and probably double the rooks. Why not? Queens are traded, and I can bring even a little bit slower my king to the center, because that's doing a great job there. But first I would like to bring this on f8, because there is some weak squares that he can make some advantage on my position, and that shouldn't be easy to play. I got to 1200, but then titled back to 1140. Yes, you need to try to improve your chess. Don't fix about rating so much. I am 26 and 2610? Really? Can you send me friend request? Are you international master or FIDE master? Let's bring the knight and probably c5 to attack on his bishop. Okay, if he takes just h5, f7 should be, very bad pawns. But knight c5 also I can't take, because for this spin. I'm forced to take or not? Yes, I don't like that. f5 was a really great move from him. I'm gonna knight. Hello Phoenix, how are you, brother? My voice is gone sometimes, but that's about this program which I'm using. But after 1 week, that should be all. New camera, new microphone, and so on. If anyone wants to play, send me challenge. Let's double the rooks on that a file and also try to pressure a6. That's very good defended. He can defend with very much pieces. But anyway, that is called client. What is called client? A client when, for example, you are trying to buy from anyone. You are his client. Hurry up. Yes, I need that. G6. Yes, G6 can be a really great move, but he needs to think that H6 should be a little bit undefended. I think that's the right word to describe his position. That will just he will just have really good pawn structure over here. But anyway, I have +2 in every move, so I don't need to play very much fast and blunder anything. Knight f4 I can play. I would like to trade the knights because his knight on d5 is doing a great job. No, not that type of client. I mean the client as the up you were connecting. With your IP. WOMIC, that's the program. But after 1 week, everything should be okay about my voice. d5, if he takes, just will lose a rook here. If he not take, I believe because that's opposite bishops. Even I will be up 3 pawns, 2 pawns, that should be very much risk for drawing this position. But anyway, and if he takes, yes, probably he could. What does it do? That's somehow disconnected. I don't know why, probably little bit about internet or something. Is this hang? Okay, a6 is very well protected, but if I takes, that should be pinned probably if he takes with a bishop. But somehow I can't use that, because his white square bishop is protecting his position very good. I would like to protect d6, but somehow that should be really hard for do that. So, because I move my pawn forward, another one was hang. But I'm up a pawn. And I would like to see that all my pieces on that dark square. So you need to keep that to not blunder anything. He has very much moves to bring his king on queenside, because kingside I am just how can I say, very really good advantage there to defending. His pawn structure is very bad on queenside. You know why? Because on a6 he can't defend. a6 he can't defend because the only way that he can do that just bring the king. And how we know king is very far from queenside, and bishop c8 will be only move to defend this pawn. But if I bring my king, for example, on c7 and then back, I don't know, can he defend or not? Just is not, I can't even push another pawn, why not? My pawn structure is like that, but the difference that I have this passed pawn. So I can even try to push it, and at that time probably he's gonna blunder that pawns to defend my h-pawn. Here's how timeout, oh my god. Here just he has to go bishop f5. I'm gonna take, that should be drawn position, because I'm not sure, probably winning for me, because if I were just up a pawn he could sacrifice the bishop and so on. That's a little bit looks like Elephant Gambit, I mixed it. and knight d2. Just a5, if he plays a6 will be weakness for him and also some white squares. So that's not be a problem for me. If I take, not sure, even I don't need to do that. I'm gonna take the pawn, and if he takes on c3, just knight takes, I would have really good center there. I will be up a pawn, but you know my position should be better. I'm gonna say, if I take, he will take with a queen. Am I need that or not? A queen takes, I will take the knight first, check, bishop c3, but I would close this position for his queen, and that can't do anything here. Okay, he's not doing so, let's protect my position. And probably bishop d3 somehow, that should be tricky after I will take the knight, and h7 should be hang. Knight c3, and if he takes, my d4 pawn will be very well defended here. Bishop d3 is coming. And even now, that's, you know, if he takes the bishop also, I'm trying to bring my pawns in the center to protect that open file that he's trying to move forward. Also a file should be open for my rook. I'm trying to pressure his king side, because see, my two bishops are doing a great job, and that's why I sacrificed the pawn. Now I get it back, but anyway, his pieces are doing really bad job. The knight is the knight, rook and bishop isn't even moved one time yet. Okay, the knight is under attack, and when I'm seeing his position isn't that much active, I can try to sacrifice a piece to open his position. Not sure how can I make some advantage there. Here. Okay, we will see. I'm trying to open this f-file, and the difference that I can bring another rook if just trade and something here happen. Don't forget to subscribe my channel, please. I can even sacrifice the knight, not now, because he will take with a queen. King g7, queen g6. But what he did? Okay, he missed mating one. I saw that he can't move his queen, and I was surprised, but I don't know why I thought that his queen can't go, and you know, he blundered the rook and also the mate. That's probably because for experience. Here knight c6, and how last game I'm trying also this time to bring my pawn on c6 also. That should be double, but no problem, because when your pawns on the center you can trade them easily, because your opponent will try to attack on center, not giving that completely. So not a problem. And castle, okay. Where can I bring the bishop? Probably a6, which I will defend this d5 very well. Okay, he took, which was a little bit unexpected, because some players are waiting until a6 to lose a move for black, and then takes. I have really good pin, and I'm attacking with 3 pieces on the knight. Rook a1 probably, but knight g4, okay. Or even knight d7, not problem, because anyway I'm attacking the knight, that's the idea. I think knight g4, and if even try to trade the queen with the knight and the rook, so that should be not a very huge problem for me. But anyway, I'm going up a pawn here, and I need to take with a bishop. If I take with a bishop from d4 or h2, no difference. His queen should be under attack. Okay, king h1 at the time. But I would like to bring my rook on a5. But what after that? I'm not that much sure how should I take, but anyway, I think there is no much difference. bishop a6, bishop f5, everything can happen. Just I'm wondering how can I attack on his king very much. Let's bring bishop out, because now the rook will protect that one more time, and now I'm on pin, because if I take, I should get mate. Or even bishop d6 can be moved. If we trade, but that position should be. Okay, let's bring f6 and completely defend that bishop. At that time even I can protect my rook on a8. Because if he takes, just that should be made from the rook on a8. But f7 is free, and even I will be happy if he trades the queen for two rooks somehow. People are saying that two rooks are better than the queen, but in that open position I think queen is very tricky figure in reality. When you are seeing open files, just bring the rooks, or even the queen can work here very well. So rook f8, and also a8 is free, I can bring the rook if I want. Now I won't, because a5 was under attack. That position, we can even keep it simple, or a4, okay, not plunder the queen, but after this trade, if I even take with a pawn, that should be passed pawn. But the only thing that I'm afraid that c5 and c6, after these two pawns are gonna trade, or a4, I don't know. That should be very weak pawns there. I don't need to push that yet, but a5 is under attack. Let's bring the queen. Okay. I'm trying to forcing him moves. Then probably now a4. He's pressuring here more, and I'm trying even to deactivate his rook from that a5. And because f5 should be closed after bishop a4, which I'm trying to go. Even with a pawn I will have really good pawn there, but how I say, just these two pawns on c file will be in a really bad position. Completely undefended. Okay, his rook isn't doing anything, so I'm gonna try to bring mine. c6 is hang, but queen d6 should be mistake or not. Not because c5 is actually hanging. What if rook f2, and that time g2 should be under attack, I have to take with a bishop. If he takes c6, anyway I'm taking with a check, and I believe if I take g2 that should be made after some moves. He hasn't any good protection on his king. Yes, now how I said we can take, just queen is defending, but there is no good defend, If he takes with a queen, I think that's not the only move, or even his rook is gonna drop here. Take with another rook, because that's with a check, and rook a1 is gonna lose anyway. And I believe he's gonna mate after some moves. That's under attack, and rook h1. I think that's time to resign, because he's gonna down two rooks. Let's just see only two moves, and I had this really clearly winning position. That's all about endgames. We just didn't trade so much, but we are on the endgame at the time. Knight e7, because I'm trying to defend d5 and bring these pawns out. Just because knight f6, a5, and I would bring the knight back d7 or g8. That's why I didn't let him to kick the knight. Okay, he's opening this diagonal, but c-file is also open. I'm not sure where he's gonna castle his king. Or even he's trying to keep it on the middle, which I don't recommend you to do that. That should be really tricky position, and because his king's still in the middle, and I will say a little bit undefended than mine. I would like to not castle yet, just bring pieces out. Okay, and he's gonna hang so much pieces because That looks like shuffling. D3 is hang. And that's not easy to defend. I think d4 only move. And I like that d4 move from him because the knight can jump and so other pieces here. d4 he will try to bring the knight into the game. If not, just bishop f1, which should be a really bad move. Because backward move and in the opening you don't need to play 2 moves in a row. Or even I can go d4, but how can that move help me? Just I believe c4. Okay, he's completely giving me this pawn. What if I take with a bishop? His rook should be under attack and rook a1, I will take this. d4 loses to knight c2. Yes, let's see that. d4, knight c2. Yes, you are right. Thank you for that. I didn't see that. But anyway, really great move. Okay, and how I said, he needs to bring his rook on f2. Knight c6, but why? Probably another knight. Yes, that should be a really good move and you will bring another pieces into the game, but I'm trying to fork. But if I do, he will take the bishop. And if check, that should be check and his queen should be under attack. Queen a3. And I take the knight. He's trying to trick me. Probably he saw that I'm gonna fork his rooks. But queen takes d3. I have this really crazy check and his queen should be under attack. He can defend with... Oh, okay, even these squares will be under attack because my knight is also defending. So he can't take this. Probably, if I were right, I will just bring bishop out, and if black take one of these rook, I can try to block that and not let him go out. What is he doing after this trade? He's gonna down a piece or not? Let's take the rook on a1, because if he takes the rook I can check, and that should be trade, not just lose a figure for me. I will take with a check. That's the difference, that I didn't take on a1, because in other positions I would like to take the least active rook at that time, because the another rook has to go on that square and take it back, and automatically that will disactive at the time. Okay, that's the position I'm up upon, but after this trade even can happen. Take the bishop first. At this time, if I take the bishop, my knight should be hang. He will just take, because I take with a check, he's gonna take it back. That's just trade. That's I did to not lose my knight there. After she will take the pawn, another pawn on d5 will be so much pressured on there. What if I try to push that? And his knight won't guard that. But another great move, but the difference, now he hasn't very much figures attack on my pawn. Before, here. Oh, okay, you are saying right move, you know, because the rooks are already forked. But that should be trade. Let's try to see that position. Here, what should he do just? Oh, okay, you are right, I missed that. King c7. Or not. Not, let's go see it. There is very much difference, because if he checks, his knight should be defended, and I can't say about my knight. He will bring his knight on defend, and you know, my knight should be hang after that. Okay, let's trade here and double his pawns, but anyway, a7 is very well defended. We have opposite bishops. And that's not easy to win as white, actually. What am I gonna play? That's not easy. a7, I'm happy to see that's really well defended. From my bishop, okay. I can try to keep defending or even bishop f6 because in that position somehow he can't attack on my bishop, try to take and try make a new queen. The only way that I'm start picking from queen, that's the a7 square. Okay, probably I don't need to bring bishop f6, but anyway, he pushed it. But not a mistake for me, you know. The rook is defended, that's the only bad thing that I can't bring the king near. Can I bring the rook into the game? Okay, how could he miss just... I thought that he won't gonna miss because I didn't take that. If you know, you know. I will take this pawn on b5 and his rook is hang. You know what it means, because I was in time pressure. He was just trying to time me out. That's not a clear win. He played so fast. Rook a5. I think I'm gonna take this pawn at the time because bishop can't protect himself and this pawn also. But if king near, at the time that should be not easy. This pawn is defended, okay? Can I defend this position? Because somehow a7 won't work, but he defend that pawn. And now he can't bring, he can bring his bishop in another way. Okay, just I put my king and my time runs off. If anyone wants to play, send me challenge. I'm waiting for your challenges. Let's see how my opponent gonna respond this game. I would like to occupy the center first as you are playing. That's very simple. They just g3, b3. That's not that effective if you are down 1500. We have Scandinavian defense. In Scandinavian defense, I like to bring my queenside pieces first. And long castle because the knight is really fast. The rook is really fast activation and d4 is pressured very well like position now. If he removes just... You know, this pawn should be hang. That's really crazy idea. Can I sacrifice the queen or not? If not, I will lose the pawn and probably pawn to d4 some blunder. Fork or something. The only thing that I'm a little bit worried about, he will take with a check. I would like to take b7 first and then. But let's sacrifice the queen. Because in that position I think that should be really hard for me to play, but I get some simple position there even with a sacrificing a piece. If he tries c6 will be undefendable. I would like force him to take queen a5 somehow, queen a5 and mate. Probably that's the idea. Also cut the rook from him side. And what should I play? Everything is defended. I would like to keep this position like how it is, but you know that can't happen. I don't even like to trade. I'm kicking his bishop and he sacrificed very good. And I'm not forced here. Just even... I can even take the bishop on d6 if I see that I'm in trouble. But anyway, what is he trying to do? Take. If here he will take the defender on h2, and you know that should be mate. So let's not plunder anything, we need to defend the knight somehow. Okay, I have really good idea, knight a4, because if he takes, he will try to mate from h2, but he can't do that without dark square bishop. I could even sacrifice the rook. That should be a cool position, or not? I will say not, but my position is a much active there. What if I take the pawn? Check here. He can make a draw if he wants, just... His rook is doing nothing here. Let's keep the rooks with each other, because now protecting d8 he can't here. And actually that's not the only reason, because when opponent has a queen you need to keep your rooks with each other. I'm trying to do that, and I will try to bring this on d7, but somehow his queen is defending that. And if I trade, probably I'm gonna lose that, because his kingside pawns will be very fast at the time. My rooks will do great job here, just that's not easy to do, and probably he mistake. Okay, I have really great position here. This won't work, let's not hang the rook. Like rook here, and even this time I can't take c6 and so on. That's why endgames are so hard. What if bishop back check? But there is no reason, you know? His position isn't that much good, and if I were black, probably I will try to check and make a draw here. Or even f3 from g2 mate. What is he trying to do? Let's defend this g file anyway. He hasn't checked, and that should be at least draw for us. Let's see, I can just keep checking from 7th ring. Just queen needs to defend from a6. He's not plundering anything, okay? Here, take the rook. Oh, he's gonna take with a check, and because that's pinned, I can't do anything else, and I didn't like that trade because his rook was doing absolutely nothing. Okay, let's just be sure we are not hanging any piece. If some pawns, that should be okay. But not figures. Let's defend that queen is the most tricky figure on that endgame. Okay, bishop d4, I would like to defend that pawn, but you know that won't happen. Queen d1 check. Bishop back, and a4 should be hang. He can defend all his pieces, which I can't say about my rook and pawn. And the good thing is that his king is just where it is. And that's not doing anything, which my king is just looks like Spartan. That's doing all this job, and only he's doing, because he's keep checking black. And my king needs to run. That's why. Very bad. Not very much problem, but you know, I lost on time. I have even +2 seconds. on every move, but that's not enough. C3 or even D4. Let's go D4 because my pawn structure should be very much overextended at the time if just some other moves. Okay, I lost defender on D4, but can I bring it back? D6 should be a little bit weakness for him because I'm gonna bring the rook on D5 and so on. Okay, F7 is a very huge threat for him. Let's bring the queen in attack here. He's up a pawn, but that's open D-file. I can't kick the knight from here, okay? Probably bishop G5, try to take and win a pawn, but bishop A7. Also that should be active move for him, and also castle. Okay, A5 is hang, and now I'm trying to bring all my pieces on his king side and the center. Even rook D1. Okay, he's not trying to do anything. If I sacrifice the knight and play A5, his knight should be lost after that. The plans are going to change because he will take the queen first and then the knight, and at time just I haven't this pawn. But anyway, F7 is gonna lose them. And how can I take with the rook or with the knight? If I take with the knight, rook G8 should be only move. If I take with the rook, okay, keep your rook on that 7th rank. I think castle will help him somehow, just because I'm trying to rook D1 and rook D7, that should be not good for him at the time. My knight is under attack, and at the same time I will say that my rook is under attack too. If he takes the knight, that should be mistake for him, because also if I take the knight, bishop should be pinned and he will miss that. But he's playing right, really great move. And also that's pinned for him. Let's sacrifice the knight. If he takes, bishop takes c5, and you know, his bishop should be under attack, and how he gonna defend? There just can't be. That's clearly pinned. Probably knight d7 should be only move that will defend his bishop, but how I said, my bishop takes on c5, that's really important move, because d4 would happen, and when I sacrifice the knights, I can save that clearly. Don't forget to subscribe my channel, please. Knight c4 to attack on the bishop, and that's a little bit pinned. I can bring the king forward and defend the rook, or even bishop f2 d2. Have some trade, because that's equal position. I'm not bad. If I take c5 should be hang. And we are saying about the pawns, he's not seeing his pawns, just that second pawn. A mistake he did. I did only one. He's blundering his pawns. You don't need to do that, because even we are going to endgame, which I will say pawns are really great in endgame. Also in the middle game, opening everywhere, because that will have really good center. And that's all just about pawns, you know. Bishop g5 I will trade, and because I have this open file and my rook on c5 is very active, c7 can't work. This can't work because b7 is hang, and probably if his knight wants to defend this h6, I can bring the bishop, and also defending a7, and I can't bring the rook, which I would like to do. Yeah, which should I do? Knight d1 and knight d7. And I'm happy to see d8 is defended, and somehow we can't bring the rook on d8. So if I bring the another rook on d7, that should be at least draw, I believe. If I take, I can't just That's double check, and that time you need to only run. I missed that open check, I thought I'm gonna take the knight a3, defend it and so on. Okay, let's defend. But his position isn't clearly winning. He's just have rook against pawn and bishop, and how you are seeing my bishop is doing really good protectively job on king side. So I would like to go g3 and bishop f4 at that time. Just g2 pawn should be defended too. First, let's defend this pawn, and I think after f1 check and f2 b2 will should be hang. But anyway, if I can bring my king on that defense, I should be much happier. But I like bishop f4 because that will defend g3, and plus this rook will be cut off from here, and some moves later he can also take b2. How I said, rook f1 and f2 double rooks attack in my position, but he probably missed that. I'm trying to keep my king side, and we can also bring the king on this defensive a2 square, probably the time trade, and try to push that pawn forward. His king is very far and he needs to somehow bring it more good position, but I cut off that diagonal. That means that's not easy for him to get some advantage. I would like to keep my rook on a7 all the time when I'm bringing another squares here. Okay. I believe bishop back should be on move, or rook back. b2 was under attack, okay. And king c1. I don't need to rush because, I'm trying to defend this position, and how you are seeing, dark squares are defended very well, and also my king is safe. What can be bad here? I would like to push that pawn forward, and from b2 that should pin. The bishop was protecting, and he has two attacks on. Then also bishop was protecting another pawn on g3. So even bishop c3 can happen. And probably we're going to bring the rook somehow. Let's cut that rook, and g3 is defended, all that is defended. We can bring the king on king's side. He can't sacrifice anything, I believe, if I do just. That should be clearly drawn position. Let's check, because if I take the rook right away, I will be down exchange. And this pawn gonna lose. He can go rook b3. Okay, how I said, because he's gonna take this pawn on king's side. And let's see whose pawn will be fast here. Okay, if I push that, I believe my rook should be on a8 and the pawn a7. And if he moves his king forward, and forward enough so I can check and make a queen here, I will be much happier. Just if he tries to push that. If not, just he needs to bring the pawns. What should I do? Is it threat or not? Okay, that should be drawn position. He's gonna take on a7, rook b4, and somehow we can defend g4 pawn. And even g3 I can check and take that pawn anyway. Okay, that's not working. His king is too far, that's why you need to keep your king very close to the pawns. Okay, wait, that's so unclear. How he tricked me. That should be drawn position. Okay, I thought he would gonna. How I tricked, that should be one or two mistake I did and I reached position like this. Very bad. But anyway, I'm waiting for your challenges. Who wants to play? C65. Okay. Queen b6 also can happen in this position. That's very good move actually. I can go a4 and his bishop isn't doing anything on this diagonal because I have 4 pawns there. Just try to have this position and close the bishop from your position. Because somehow in b7 and on the rook that's really doing great job. Some attacking ideas, some pinning ideas. c5 is open for me and knight f2, knight f4. If back at the time he can take with a bishop, so there is no much difference for me. I can bring the bishop where? On g4, because if he plays f3, that should be a really good position for me after. I will trade because if his king side will be a little bit weak, I can attack on from the center and even from that queen side, which I'm trying to do. Rook c8 and this open file, and if I take even the knight, I think c3 pawn will be disturbing thing for him. Not sure about that, but let's try to do that. How can he defend just? He can't bring so much defender on it. My king side is safe, so probably I can get this trade a little bit. I'm worried about this a little bit worse pawn structure, but anyway. His knight is pinned, but if I try to pressure, he can take on f6. He can't take. Okay, even now that shouldn't happen. What should I play? a5? Trade and my knight can jump at the time c4 or d3. But then I need to do that or not, or double the rooks somehow. Let's first defend a6. And g5 is open, I'm down 1 pawn. And when you are down a pawn or you don't like your position, the good thing that you can do just attack on his king. Okay, the queen was defending that, okay. Not a problem, I'm even happy to see this position because his knight was doing a great job, which I can't say about rooks, but to get some activity here. Bishop back, that's more. Okay, that was very bad. Just 1 or 2 moves that can change the whole game. That's the reason. What should we play? We can take. So the players are doing. Black is having. We can force him to take, and if it's not just g4 will be very well defended, and bishop a3 he can't jump with the knight and attack on my bishop. This pawn is under attack, that's why he went back. Okay, he can take just, you will be happy if just your pawns are going on the middle. That's really cool thing for you. I can even take with a queen to double or triple my rooks and queen to attack on d6, which isn't really well guarded, but I think just d4 a5 pawn will be gone and I can jump there with my knight. You need to see that attacking moves, and you need to see the great you can't bring your pawn back, that's why you need to be careful. And b6, my bishop will be in trap at the time. Okay, let's trap the bishop. Okay, probably he thought that he can just take a bishop from me. After b6 just blocked it, but how you see that didn't happen. I would like to go g4, that's a little bit aggressive move, and if you can't play after g4, probably that's not easy to play, because just your kingside two pawns is gone. But actually you are up a figure, like how in the like I am in this position. And at this time f4 or f3, just that depends from the position. That's really cool move because g2 is protected from him for being mate or something. I would like to bring rook a3, but king h1 I will get mate here, and anything can happen, even rook g3. If I think that sacrifice the rook, queen should be hang. What should I play? Just g5 he can't check and he's not attacking anything. I don't need to rush. Let's go f4 how I said. We can sacrifice the rook, no much difference, because he sacrificed a figure. That should be a rook against two pieces, which is really cool when you have two pieces against the rook. And also this diagonal should be open for me and I will create this counter attack. If he takes, which bishop can I take? Which bishop I need? Probably dark square, because I'm trying to attack on g7 and g7 should be protected from him dark square bishop. So I'm trying to bring the rook and even bishop d4. See, I removed his dark square bishop because I have really good attack on his g7 weak square. So probably rook g2. That's the thing. If he takes with a bishop, that should be check. If there's just won't happen. You know I can sacrifice that. And that's not easy to defend. I think just rook on 7th rank or even queen back. All that can defend his position. But in the next moves, I would like to bring my knight on f4 if it was possible. I should kick the bishop and knight h5 to attack one more time on g7. Let's get this straight. I'm much better and I'm being up a pawn. d6 is a very weak pawn, which we can say about b7. That's isolated pawns, and you don't need to keep isolated pawns. If you can trade, just do that. Okay, what am I gonna do? Probably trade, because bishops are really cool pieces when we are compared with the knights in the end games, because they have very much open squares to defend in his position. d3 is unprotected. Somehow I can't protect, and because I can't protect, let's attack, not try to defend anything. Knight b5 takes. My bishop should be hang after I will take d6, but his rook is hang. But we need to see. If I take this rook d8, my two pieces should be under attack. Can I defend all that or not? Probably not, and when you are up a figure you just don't need to rush anywhere to some risky moves that will disturb you from your ideas. I would like to go a5, just for open my bishop diagonal, and if I bring the rook on 7th rank, okay, is this move or not? If that happened, just probably from my time pressure, which he missed. Very great. I'm bringing my rook on 7th rank. And that should be at least draw a thing that I'm a little bit afraid for. What if he brings the rook on f2? What will happen at the time? That's why I'm trying to kick the rook from that diagonal. Is that only move that he can save the rook? Or even rook f2? Well, he have check, but he has check, but anyway. Okay, let's bring king on g3 because f3 is defended, and what is he doing? He has just 1 minute and 20 seconds. He missed the rook. He played so fast, just 0.5 seconds or 1 second. That means he was trying to time me out, which didn't happen. a3, fund Gruji's opening. Or that's where it looks like cold defensive d3 and knight d2. I don't like that openings. As white you need to play more active, not just that moves he played a3. What is a3? d4 a3, I can't say something about that, but d3 and see my position advantage. As black I have very much advantages than he. All my pieces are active, which we can't say about the knight on d2, which isn't doing really good job, just blocking the bishop on c1. And let's see his bishop. The good thing is from him that a4 is very well defended. That's still not easy to have some attack, but knight g4, if he takes, that should be great. If he not takes f5. f5, probably f4, and we will see. f5, if I sacrifice, f5 should be open, but I would like to have a little bit some more activity than him. And at that time just I can sacrifice a piece. But because I can't do anything here, and if you are trying to sacrifice a piece to attack, your queen will be forward than your bishops that you can check. But no, bishops are probably preventing my queen from hit kingside, and I will say that's very well defended when we are talking about his kingside. That's not under attack, and before moving you need to think, what's my opponent gonna do, what is he planning? And I see that he's trying to overpressure on d5. Now this should be threat from him. d4, just I will give him very good white squares, which I don't like to give. Let's take this pawn because another pawn now you can jump. Okay, not jump there, but actually the difference is I can take. Very good from me. Knight d4. Just we get this trade, and his pawns aren't doing great job like the past. And bishop c5. I have really good dark squares which I tried to have, and now I have a really great. I can take the bishop, but really his bishop isn't doing anything. I don't need to waste my really good knight here. If I have chance to trade with dark square bishop, I will do that, why not? Because we are trying to slowly move middle game, which that seems his bishop will do great job because white squares are closed from him, which we can't say about light squares. So dark squares. If he takes, I will have passed pawn, and that should be a little bit difficult to defend. So if I bring the rooks and double them, you know that won't be easy to defend. I take. Okay, am I need the trade or not? Just moving too far and like that isn't doing anything on that h5 too. f5, g6, everything can play it here. Well, how I said, let's take with the opponent now. His position is a little bit, you know, not like the past. But because we have opposite bishops, that's not easy from me to win here. Because he will defend light squares very well, and probably now I can't go forward with my passed pawn on d4. But anyway, we have really good dark square advantage, which we will try to keep. I will take with a queen, and my queen will do really great job here. But if I move even b6 and take with a pawn, that should be more crazier and probably very good position for me. Okay, he's not doing anything on his queen side. a5 should be moved, but okay, that's just will give disadvantage to me. But a6, you see, probably he's trying to destroy my king side. I believe a5 is gonna damage my pawn structure a little bit, but I'm trying to move really close to his position and try to bring my pawn forward. Okay, light squares are defending very well. I would like to bring the rook and attack on his position. Now that won't work. But anyway, I would like to hang this b4. Let's create another passed pawn and try to move that forward and disturb him from d4. If he takes with a queen bishop c5, please take that. I'm getting out for this pin. From that pin, and he misses. Just see, he spent really 10 seconds, and also he had 1 minute and 40 seconds, but anyway he's doing that blunder. But why? Why you are missing this? I believe you are gonna blunder your rook too. That's probably he tried to time me out. My time was very low and he played fast, but he could also think 1 minute and 30 seconds. He wanted to just win on time. That's why you don't try to win on time. I'm saying for all your games that you will play, take he's trying to check, but I think rook f1 and b work or not. Okay, but what is he trying to do? Why he move his rook on f8? Probably that's just losing. That's why he's trying, do something unthinkable. Queen d4 and make a new queen. That's my plan. Okay. He's thinking and he's spending the time which he could think and not lose like this. His position was very good. I think he had a chance to win me. Queen a3. Well, he resigned. Okay, we finished that game. If anyone wants to play, send me challenge. And don't forget to subscribe my channel, please. d5, and in this position really good move, bishop d6, and also that's I am preventing his knight from c7. And that's not the only reason. His bishop is too active here. I would like to kick that with a5. a5 take, and our double pawns which we created, that should be undouble. I'm going h6 because after a4 just he has to bring his knight back. But I believe I don't need that because d6 should be weak square for my pawn. And because these pawns with each other, I would like to force him to take, which he won't do because my pawn structure will be really great at the time. My knight is defending, I would like to move this and bring my bishop activity. He's taking. I can't trust my opponent. Why he gives me that really good center? That my pawn wasn't doing really great job at the time. Let's defend it, okay? Let's bring the knight forward, and you need to keep your knights forward and the other piece. That's right idea, you know. You can try to use that. Knight here and queen is under attack, and we are going to bring the bishop on f5. That will do a great job. What are you thinking about that? Everything is defended, a5, d5 and so on. Bishop f5. Okay, after this trade, if I trade, the knight should be hang on that c5. So let's defend the knight. Actually, bishop b7 can work at this time. Here. Okay, bishop b7 for sure, because d5 was defending another time. Probably d4 can happen. d4, a4 and so on. I can go even a5 to kick his queen back. But queen a3 just... what should I play? Or even his queen will become aggressive and try to go on that king side, which I'm a little bit afraid because you know his knight and bishop will do great job after opening some squares for it. Well, I went g6 because knight a5. You know, we can't guess what should he do there. So let's defend before he will moving. Queen a3 I'm expecting. Okay, really great move. King g7. Also defend the knight and this pawn. And probably he's thinking how to attack this weak pawn on h6, because when you are seeing weakness, you need to attack on there. My weakness is my h6, but I can protect this with very much pieces. And I think 3 pieces enough. 3 pieces are enough. Not a problem. Bishop a6, I can try to trade this. But let's be sure d5 is defended. I am wondering to push this pawn. Okay, I will trade and probably the bishop on g3 because that's pressuring very much here. Can I trap his queen or not? Bishop c8 and g5. He should have only one move, that should be queen h5. I would like to take this just because dark squares was very much defended from him. Then a5, okay. His bishop is a little bit active, so I can't say we are equal when we are speaking about activity, but anyway. Let's trade and f5, really great move, why not, because all that pawn structure are defended. We can pressure how much he wants. on this pawn and defend, but I'm not promising that I can push that pawn forward. That's very good defendable. I'm going my king on a5. Okay, I would do that because d5 was under attack and that was pressured from him. I would like to trade and he went back, so I like to see that. Let's bring king on a5, just active move. I can't take, but I can push that forward. That's why you need to keep your pieces in active squares. And also in the endgame, that's very important to bring your king in active square like that. Here, okay, that won't work. What if bishop back and that time b5? He can't take, right? But he's protecting with all his pieces there. He won't take, he will play d4. Or even not to take, that's a move. I'm trying to destroy his pawn structure, which is doing really great job, and attack on my king side, because I have one pawn up on my king side and he has one pawn up on queen side. So we need to use that idea to attack opposite sides. His time is getting lower and that's become a little bit hard for him to play. If I take, a file should be open for me, and at this time we can bring the rook. And rook a3, if I bring my rook on second rank, that should be really difficult for him to play, like rook d6. Well, he found that move. Let's take this pawn first. If he takes the bishop, he can't... Okay, how I said, he can't just prevent me from queening. I sacrificed the bishop here, that means I'm gonna make a new one here. Well, he knows, but if he takes on h6, I think I can fork him somehow after some moves. Let's try to trick him. I am forcing him to move the bishop. Okay, he's not moving. That's really clever move, because queen d4 just, you know, he would plunder the rook, but I'm plundering my queen. Okay, I believe that should be winning. Anyway. If he trades, okay, let's see. We need to defend our last pawn and he went back. That should be his only move, and if we are not counting. King a3. I'm bringing my king like that because if I block just king way, he could come closer on f4 very fast at that time. So I'm preventing him from that. He can make a draw. Okay, let's not blunder anything. Bishop d5 won't happen. I'm not blundering. Check and defend at another time. I couldn't. Let's keep my rook on the diagonal. That's very difficult to play. I think I have feelings that I can trick him and take his bishop somehow. Pawn move. If I take, that should be drawn position. But if I not take, from g7 he can go and mate after that. But if that dark square is defending, just I need to keep this defend. Let's force his king to go back. Okay, he's defending, but after that king... Oh, okay, king g7, I thought he would go back, but I missed that move. Okay, very bad played. I was move ahead winning, but you know, that was trouble for me when he just checked me on first rank and take the queen here. That was a really clear drawn position. Okay, let's get this straight. As black, you don't need to take the knight, because you will bring white's queen very good activity here. Bishop d3, I would like to go there and defend a4, but bishop d3 will cut off the queen from that d4, and somehow you can plunder the knight if that, defending with one piece and is attacking it with one piece, and he can open attack, try to take your piece, you know. If he takes, my pawns will be very bad. So even this is hang. I was thinking that f4 will just protect this pawn and also block his bishop, but let's not hang this bishop. I can't play bishop f4. Anyway, that pawn can he can take. He chooses with the knight, and this time we don't need to take to bring his bishop in a really great activation, centralize. So we can castle d3. Okay, d3 I will take. But what about h4, h5? I'm sure he won't take. But anyway, bishop here is not threatening anything, right? We need to move forward. h6 even can happen. And the rook. Okay, a file is open, so let's bring it here, and for him just b file is open, so he will try to bring his rook and queen on king side, on queen side. That's why he cut my bishop from that b8. But not a problem. I would like to go f4. No, that can't happen, but anyway, I would like to get that trade and open a5 one more time. Let's kick his queen. And can we take a5? Okay, h6 is hang, but no worry. When I played h6, okay, to kick his bishop, I could even take g6. That's just a trade. And what I need to play? That's under attack. What if knight g4? Takes, I will be up exchange there. If he takes the queen, I will be up exchange. You know why? Because I'm gonna take with a check. After he takes king g7, take the rook, take the knight, and his position would be very bad that, in that time. So I have really good dark squares where I can jump bishop f4 and knight h6 somehow can happen. Or even why not this? Check. Okay, I'm trying to have his dark squares. Bishop is really protecting this diagonal, but from h7 and f8, that's not easy to defend. When it's finished live, I am going to read book. A really great idea. What book are you reading? Yes, that's okay. Which book are you reading? Which book, sorry. Now what should I play? I'm on a pawn. I can check. And here, okay. Bishops are really good pieces here. And also my bishop, because he has dark square weakness. That's mate. Very good. I didn't see that mate, but uh, I feel that I can win that, you know. And if you are moving your pawn on g6, that you need to be sure that dark squares are really good defended, and your opponent can't just go and mate you. Okay, we have Caro-Kann defense. We can play Alien Gambit here. Bishop f5 to also g6 to protect f7 if he's very afraid from Alien Gambit, but Mastian Gambit I think is a really cool than Alien Gambit. I don't know if you know that or not, but when he's taking from f7, that's really cool. And I think that's a little bit even easier to win with knight sacrifice. I think bishop trade a file is open for him, but that's really cool because that's even open for me, and I am activating my pieces here. The rook can jump and knight a5. Knight a5, that's I'm trying to go, and I would like to bring the rook first, and let's see. Rook 8 even can be happen from him. Barev Hayrabedianna. I would like to bring my knight on a5, but I don't like queen trade because I played Alien Gambit and I sacrificed the knight. So I don't want any trade, but I think knight a5 is important move in this position. So after this trade I'm gonna kick his knight and h5 will be free. So I can jump there with my queen, no problem. I played bishop d2 just for defending my queen from trading. Okay, that's a check. Or can I trick him? a6 check here, and if his rook moves too far, just I'm gonna take the rook. You know why? Queen h5 check. How can he defend the rook with his king? If dark squares I have check, and you know. But if it's not even, that's not a trouble for me because h6 is hang, and if he takes, a file should be mine. If not, just queen f7, queen h7. I believe if he moves dark square bishop check, and even he that's a risk that he will lose his queen. If not, just his rook is under attack, and probably he needs to take my rook. Okay, now that's not happen. h7 is closed. Բարև աղբեր ջան, հա խաղանք։ Challenge ուղարկի, ես մեկը բրցնեմ ու խաղանք։ We can take, but not feeling am I need it or not. Queen g5, queen h5 will play from him. Okay, he's trying to trade. What will happen after this? I will be down a figure because I sacrificed in Alien Gambit. I would like to keep my queen here. And queen c7. Okay, I would like to go there to have that 7th rank, but now that won't work, you know. That's overprotected, but I don't want to trade all my rooks because my rook will do great job on that 7th rank if I can bring here even this a file, d file. Okay, I can't do anything besides bring the rook on d file. And I'm happy to see c7 is free and I can jump there with my queen and try to take the knight and pressure his position. I can take his queen and double his pawns, but how I said, I don't need that. And this knight is hang or not? We can take and mate. We can even play h3 and then take the knight on c5 because that's unprotected. The knight is just not defending because 4 pin. Rook a7 for him, just that doesn't matter which rook. Will do great job to unpin the knight and also some open check, for example knight a5 and so on. Probably rook a7, knight a5 from f3 he can try to fork and so on, some pressure on my position. Yes, still I can't take. But what if h3? h3 at that time, if I take the knight, I will lose exchange, but his other knight should be under attack. What if I take the knight and rook a7? My queen and bishop should be under attack. So that should be a very risky move, which I don't like to do. Bishop back, if he takes, I have to take with a rook, because if not, d1 should hang. Very tricky position. And let's calculate. My bishop is under attack. What if I kick his queen? And that won't be a mistake. Let's do that. And even we can escape our king on h2 if it needs. We still can't take the knight, but if we see we are in trouble, probably we can, why not? And the difference at the time bishop d2 can happen. Because how I said, he will take d1 rook after I will take with a bishop, and sure, I need to take with a bishop. I don't need to trade the rook because that's really doing great job on the d file. And I sacrificed piece because I'm down 1. If I take rook a7, my queen and bishop should be under attack. That's why I still can't take. Okay, I missed it. That all for time pressure. Okay, and 13 seconds is more that he can make advantage in my position and win that. Վարդ challenge եմ ուղարկում։ Կամ էլ ուղարկի էլի, ուղարկի քեզ չեմ գտնում ոնց որ։ Դες սպասում եմ ուղարկի։ Let's wait for challenge and let's play. If anyone wants to play, say me about that. Okay, probably he isn't here. We can play another game and we will see. We have Scandinavian defense. Knight f6, and in this position don't play c4 because d2 will be very weak pawn. Yes, in this position you should be up a pawn because somehow that's not easy to take d5 without sacrificing a pawn. But because d2 is should be very unprotected, and even this position you don't need to move that forward because Scandinavian defense players are bringing all that queenside figures forward. And castle and also the rook on d5 is doing a great job. And even d5 isn't threat because his queen on d1 should be hang. And if d5, now not because the knight also defending, but d5 queen c7. Because the difference that the rook is attacking on d1. And even knight b4 can happen. a6, very much threats. Knight b4, just c2 should be under attack, and e6, you know why he can't take. a6, His king still on the middle. I will try to open this center and attack on him from the center. If he takes, I can take with a bishop, okay? He get out from that pin, that's why he took the knight, but not a problem. Let's bring this because now I have really good positional advantage. Let's give this pawn because I don't want to lose any move and tempo. I sacrificed a piece for that. Somehow you need to keep his king on the middle, that's why you need to sacrifice a piece. Knight a4 can happen. The good thing that he needs to try, I believe, to castle how fast as he can. He's trying to trade the queens, and also my bishop is under attack, otherwise knight a4, and after this trade, if I succeed to take with a queen, that should be, I believe, lost game for him, but he didn't. Okay, he's very attacking player, which just in this position, you don't need to play like that. That will be very tricky also for me. Knight b5. My queen is under attack, but this pawn on a7 also defended from my bishop. Let's don't think about that. We can check with a bishop. Bishop d2 I can take. That should be okay for him, but I'm trying to remove his pieces that can defend his king. Okay? If this rook d1, bishop c2, I will kick the rook and the knight should be under attack. Or even, can I check? Yes, let's check because bishop a2, bishop d3. How can he defend that bishop? Probably knight c3 will be only move. That's why we need to take b2. Or probably we didn't need. Okay, from c7 he's gonna mate, but if it's not just see his rook and knight, everything was hang position like that. Let's end this stream. Thank you for joining my stream. Stay with me and join my streams and play with me. Goodbye everyone.